I'm going to show you my garden, which is almost a miracle because of its ability to survive our long, hot, dry summers with no irrigation and very little work. And it produces food through much of our cool, damp winters, and now in the spring, when most people are just starting to plant their gardens. Years ago, I tried wood chip gardening. I know that's popular. It's where you put down a thick layer of wood chips for mulch to hold in moisture. Preferably the kind that would come from an arborist that has all the fines and leaves in it. Some people claim if you put down the wood chips, you don't till your soil, so you keep the biology in the soil alive. You don't have to water your garden. But we have such hot, dry summers here, I found the wood chips just didn't hold moisture very well. When a lot of people think of Oregon, they think it rains here all the time. Those people don't know Oregon very well. It only rains here all the time while it's raining. But when it's not raining, it doesn't rain here all the time, which is most of the time. And our summers, we don't get rain at all sometimes. A lot of times from May or June through October or November, we don't get any significant rain at all. Here in Southwest Oregon, it can be in the 90s, hundreds, 110 all summer long, with humidity in the teens, sometimes single digits. When I say it's hot and dry here all summer, it's the kind of hot and dry that's hot and dry. And this thing still survives without giving it water. We do have cool, wet winters here, not super wet, not like some parts of the state. In the fall, I plant my cool weather greens in the greenhouse, turnip greens, mustard greens, kale, other various brassicas. Then by January, I can start harvesting those. By the end of January, I have more greens than I know what to do with. Those usually produce all the way through May and June until it gets too hot for them. Except for this year, because we didn't do winter this year. We had fall in the fall, but we gave winter a miss, went straight on into spring. Then in the spring, we started having summery weather. Even though I had the tops and the sides taken off of this, the warm, then hot weather stressed the cold weather crops so much, the aphids took them out. Some people are probably going to say they don't like those kind of greens. They probably haven't learned how to make a proper salad. It's not always the salad that makes the salad, it's what you put on the salad that makes the salad. Even the ones outside got too warm, the aphids got them. I cut off the tops that had the aphids on them. We'll see if they recover. Probably not. On a normal year where we actually have winter, I would still have a lot of greens growing out here, but not this year. Although now it's the middle of May and it's a little bit cold this morning. I'm hoping this year we're going to give summer a miss and go straight on to winter to make up for the last one we didn't have. But that's probably not going to happen. In the spring, the asparagus starts to kick in, starts to produce. I have a lot more of it back here. It's already past its production time. Then later in the spring, the artichokes start kicking in. I'm not a short guy, and these are taller than I am. And all the other things growing out here I haven't shown yet. So how do I keep all of this alive through our extremely hot, dry summers without watering it? The same way I do most things that have brought me success in life, by doing what they say not to do. They say don't put sawdust on your garden because it will rob nitrogen from the soil. They say don't put bark on your garden because putting bark on your garden would be stupid. Yesterday I did what I usually do once every year or 2 or 3 years. I put this thick layer of bark and sawdust all over the garden. The decomposed granite soil here is well drained. It does not hold moisture well. It needs all the help it can get. I find this combination of bark and fine sawdust from a bandsaw are excellent for holding in moisture. Fortunately, yesterday I was wearing my yesterday shirt. Today I'm wearing my today shirt. So you should be able to easily tell the difference between yesterday me and today me. While putting this stuff on the garden that we're not supposed to put on a garden, I decided to cut off the aphid-infested tops of these kale plants so I can have my final vengeance on these hateful, miserable monsters. That ought to learn them. And now for these ones. Say your prayers, you lily-livered varmints. That ought to learn them. This is a lot of work, but it's work I only have to do once in a long while. These thick layers of sawdust and bark help keep down the weeds and hold in the moisture from the rain that falls over the winter. After I put this down, I can leave the garden for months at a time. It'll take care of itself. They say if you put sawdust in your garden, it'll rob nitrogen from the soil. As is commonly the case, people will hear something and they think, therefore it has to apply to everything. But that's only the case in certain situations. If you mix sawdust into the soil, it can be a problem. But in this case, we're just putting it on top of the soil. It may temporarily take the nitrogen out of the thin top layer of the soil that it's in contact with, but the soil below that thin layer will be just fine. That's where most of the plant roots are. Now, where did I get all this bark and sawdust? The bark came off of these kind of things, which I have a lot of around here. The sawdust came from this strange contraption, which produces a lot of the perfect type of sawdust for holding in moisture. And when it produces a big mountain of sawdust, as we all know, sawdust can be great for its many recreational uses. Okay, I won't be joining the snowboard Olympics anytime soon. I remember those days back when we used to have winter. A lot of people around here probably think we did have winter this year, because most of the people here live down in the valleys, stuck down in the valley fog, not knowing how springy it is up here above it. I think we got a little distracted off subject there. The only greens I have now are this sorrel and a lot of miner's lettuce. A lot of it's past its prime, but some of it is still good. It's a native plant that's become the most pervasive weed in the garden, but that's a good thing. So when I have a late season brassica crop failure because of the aphids, it's a good nutritious alternative. This big old mess is my automatic solar powered bird feeder, also known as raspberries. I ripped that one off from my dad. That's what he calls his cherry trees. Maybe next year I'll get this mess under control so I can put some kind of a bird barrier around it. The birds do let me have some. When it's a big mess like this, sometimes the berries are in there where the birds can't get to them as easily, so I do get some. But I don't get enough. If I had a barrier over these where the birds can't get to them, then I would have too many raspberries. But having too many raspberries is a lot better than not having enough raspberries. Over here I had a big strawberry patch, but they didn't get much mulch on them. Last summer they dried up and most of them died. There are a few down here that had more mulch around them. They survived. Now that I have this thick mulch around them, this patch should be able to recover. Now what are these things all over the place? It's garlic, of course. The allium genus is well represented here by garlic. Got all this garlic, and all this garlic, and this garlic. Some of it getting taken over by peas. Oh my. Now we know why they're not eating the aphids. They're busy. They have other things to do. More garlic over here. More garlic over here. More over here. More over there. Well, why do I have so much garlic? I don't know. What am I going to do with all this garlic? I don't even eat that much garlic. I guess the reason is I had a whole bunch of seed cloves left over from last year's crop, which was a bunch of seed cloves left over from the year before's crop, and on and on and on. I had the seed and I planted it all. That's why I have so much garlic. And it really does well here under these conditions. Most of it I just give it away. I don't even know if I can give away this much garlic. I might have a problem. I think I need to quit planting so much garlic. Anybody want any garlic? I have some stinging nettles here. These are supposed to be very nutritious, but I haven't developed a taste for them yet. Maybe I just haven't figured out how to prepare them right yet. I haven't really tried much either. So for now, they're just there. I forget they're there until sometimes they remind me that they're there. I did say this garden survives through the hot, dry summers, but I didn't say it thrives through the hot, dry summers. The way I have it set up is so it will produce in the winter, in the spring, into early summer. This is the way it looks in the spring. As we get into the heat of the summer, I am typically not here that much in the summer. I don't have a water system set up here yet to keep a thriving summer garden. So many people around me have a summer garden. They practically beg me to take their summer produce that they have an excess of. So I haven't had much of a need to try to grow summer garden here. As we go through the heat of the summer, much of this stuff just survives. Then when we get the fall rains, go through into the next year, it comes back into what you see here. When I come back in the late summer or fall, a lot of times I have ripe grapes to come back to. How can other people duplicate this? If you don't have an abundance of these and one of these strange contraptions, you might have some difficulty finding this kind of material in abundance. Wood chips are good, but for this situation they're not good enough. Even the ramial chips with all the fines and leaves still in them. You might be able to find some kind of organic material that would hold water like this, but for most people this might be a little hard to duplicate. But people wanted me to I already showed myself my garden. People wanted me to show them my garden. That's what I'm trying to say. And here we did it. I showed you my garden. This is what I have. But maybe there's a moral to the story. People like to throw out advice. People like to say, do this, don't do that. It's good to listen to them, but listen to them with a grain of salt. Take what they say, then do the research, or do the experiment. See how it works. Sometimes what people tell you not to do is the very thing you should do. But not always. Sometimes when people tell you things like, don't jump out in front of a moving bus, you should listen to them. So maybe the moral of the story is, there's a deer over there.